Okay, well, I'm gonna call this, we're 2 minutes late, so I'm gonna call this meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust to order. And so the first thing on the agenda is to approve the previous minutes. Did everyone have a chance to take a look at them?
No.
Yeah. Why?
Oh, yes.
I didn't see any problems with them.
No,
No.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to accept the minutes. Okay.
Second?
yeah, I'll second that.
No, okay. Is anybody online who's a member? No? Okay, so we can raise hands. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay. Treasurer's report, Mr. Treasurer.
So. To the,
For sure.
let me just-
I get an app dealing on the mobile.
You're not logged in yet to join. I haven't seen her.
Yeah, he's up there.
Oh, you're in there twice.
Ooh,
He's there twice.
you're on screen.
My computer's not. Share?
Yes. You might want to just mute yourself so it's green.
Is that it?
Do we want to go to the town report?
Yes.
What, so you don't feel the pressure? Well, you know, whenever I say that, this comes up. Sort of.
Stop share.
Here?
Yeah. And then share.
I don't have much to report today, unless there's questions about ongoing projects and things. Obviously, the 40B is scheduled for technically June 20th, but we really will meet to continue that again.
People 40 behind Pickering Funeral.
Yes,
47 Main.
47 Main Street, comprehensive permit, 40B for 60 apartment units. So that will meet on June 20th. But again, that will just be in order to then continue it to July 17th. Let me just confirm if that's the right date. As I say it, yep, July 17th, which will be the next public hearing on that. At that time, we expect to start going through a draft decision for the approval with conditions of that project. And so our attorney is working with the board as well as the applicant to narrow down any and all conditions that have been discussed throughout the process. My office, including Amy Bonina upstairs, have been diligently working to identify and track any and all conditions that have been discussed throughout that process, including requesting conditions from abutters that have been in contact with the applicants for discussions that they and the applicant have had about making improvements to help alleviate problems on their land, whether it's the planting of trees between their land and the applicant's proposal, you know, any and all conditions so we can make sure to memorialize it in the decision document.
And when did you say the date of that meeting was? I'm sorry.
It's going to be on the June 20th
Okay.
meeting, which is a Thursday, but that we will only meet to then kick it down to July 17th. That's a formality because we needed to continue it to a date certain last time.
Any questions for?
Mike, how many units will be on the SHI from that project?
All of them. So even though there were only 25%, which I forget what that works out to be, you know, some probably 15 or 16 units will actually be dedicated affordable. Because it's a 40B project, the way that the state treats it is that if 25% or more of units are dedicated for affordable, town gets credit for all of the units in the project.
And it's 60 units.
And it's 60 units, yes.
And you couldn't do 25% of that.
Is that an easy number?
Talk to our treasurer.
Yeah, it's a very easy number.
Is it
No,
It's
20?
15.
15? There you go.
15.
It was 15.
Yeah.
The entire time.
You said it. It might have been a bonus unit.
Yeah. So-
20 would be 33%, or 33 to 30.
Okay, well, I was just using deductive reasoning last time. I knew it was 17 from the original application because I looked at the application. Plus
So, and then there's a 30-day appeal period, and
20.
then 20-day, and then the state, and once the state, once it's approved, we get safe harbor.
Yes,
the state-
once the zoning board approves it,
Mm.
we can file for safe harbor status.
Okay. And we being you,
Yeah, me. The town, me on behalf of the town.
and we will do that like immediately.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And then, is it proactive from that point forward in the submission or on the approval from the state?
What do you mean by retroactive?
Like the ZBA approves point in time this summer, and then we immediately file for a safe harbor.
Oh, yeah, then it should, assuming the state then accepts the claim of safe harbor status. Oh, you mean from the,
Well,
that
let's say
gap?
the ZBA is July 17th.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm unsure. Usually these,
Sometimes the state can take a while to
yeah,
approve things.
I feel like that office is pretty responsive, in particular. So I don't indicate a really long lag time, but I'll be certain to reach out to them. And confirm that it is starting from the date. I mean, realistically, the town would have time to dispute a new application for a 40B were it to come in that time. So
I didn't know if someone
Yeah.
files a 40B application.
Yeah. the town could immediately take
Right.
the position that we assert that we have safe harbor status under this provision, even if the state hadn't yet confirmed it. Yeah.
And I think developers would be a little bit squirrely about.
Yeah.
Proposing one
No,
when you know we're getting, yeah.
Good.
So.
and that's for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that'll be 2 years.
These new chairs.
What?
Just seem much more comfortable.
For the music stuff?
Yeah, I see. I was craning my neck while I was doing this.
Yeah. I just heard from Maureen, she's getting ready for the selectmen. So.
For what
She's
meeting?
got selectmen meeting tonight as well,
Oh.
so.
Yeah.
I think it's
I
the
have to go
first
to that
Celtics game, isn't it? Nobody being anywhere.
So we have to move this up. Okay, regional housing coordinator report. Oh, no, treasurer report, I'm sorry. Treasurer, you got that up.
So what you're seeing in front of you is the current report thing, Grace. So we broke it down by the different funding sources. Total is 143,859 as reported. However, and Grace, if you could look at it and let me know how to do so. The first item, $7,561.56. We have indicated that we want to return it. CPA has approved taking it back. And now it's just a means of, I think everything is replaced. Maybe it's just the accounting. Okay. Right. Is that how everyone else remembers? That's
Mhm.
my notes. So it'll be 143,859 minus $7,561. That's our current balance at this point in time. The another call out is that since the last meeting, there was $354 spent, and that was for the advertisement of demolition RFP.
Was it both of them? I forget if it was both or the RFQ for the demo and the RFP for the redevelopment. I'll double
Okay.
check.
Any questions?
Those ads are really expensive, so.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to know if that's both of them or not.
And,
Okay.
and that's just the money the trust has control of, not the CPC.
Oh, okay. All right. And then, one other, it hasn't been spent yet, but I have requested that I'm attending a housing seminar next Wednesday and Thursday. The cost is $150. It's in Worcester, and it's put on by MHEP, Mass Housing Partners. And so it's 2 full days, cost is $150. That has not been recognized yet, it hasn't been submitted yet, but there is a expense voucher that
That sounds very interesting.
it does.
How did you find out about it, Brian?
I'm on the MHP email. I do recommend, I'll send it to you. if
Yeah,
anyone's
I
interested.
can't go, I'm gonna be on the West Coast, but.
Yeah,
It's
it's
pretty
probably
interesting.
circulated that, to people, and we really appreciate that. I think it's a
Sure.
great
Sure.
opportunity for us, and, yes, I really appreciate you
Yeah,
making the time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We don't need to take a vote to approve that, do we? We just,
You probably should. How did we leave that last time? Was the,
I thought you said we had to take a vote. I thought-
did the trust do like an initial vote to like authorize you or
Oh,
to like endorse those things outside of meeting and then just report to them after the fact at the meetings?
so the planning board did, I don't.
Yeah, the planning board's done that.
I don't think the trust did.
So I would either vote to approve it now.
How much is it?
$150.
Okay, I move that we approve $150 for the Mass Housing Partnership Conference.
I second that.
And if you ever want to, oh, sorry, take a vote.
So do I have any discussion? Okay, vote, all in favor?
Turned out right.
Vote on it.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, okay, all right.
Oh, well, no, okay. Regional Housing Coordinator report? Oh, are you?
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry.
hi, good evening. Okay, so I guess one of the things is we're starting the Affordable Housing Trust Plan. So there's a few things that we would need from the trust. We can discuss a little bit now, and also maybe we could discuss this later on. And maybe if you all can email me your thoughts and things along that line, that'd be great. We were thinking, so one of the things that we would have to do is summarize the town's affordable housing goals, objectives, and strategies. So like what you all would like to get out of the plan in terms of the goals, the objectives, and the strategies, and formalizing the Housing Trust's current desires, process for the project proposal, approval, and distributions of the funds. So those are a few things that I would need for that. Another update is I do monthly regional housing coordinator meetings, which is a check-in with the other like all the 6 towns coming in. So there's a meeting that's happening on the 20th of June. That is from 9:30, I think it's 9:30 to 10:30, or yeah, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the 20th of June. And I guess another update is we did really well on the ADU workshop that was last month. We do have another one that's going to be coming up in July, because this month's kind of being busy with grant season. So that's about that I have for updates. But again, for the trust plan, the Affordable Housing Trust Plan, those are the things that I do need. So maybe we can coordinate some other time. I know, because I don't want to take up this time, and discussing those further so that I can get that situated so we can add that to the plan.
Can I suggest through the chair, to see if the trust wants to have a kind of a workshop on that at a future meeting, that'd be great. But if there's anything you can kind of front load to the trust ahead of time, I think that'd be
Okay.
helpful.
A survey, like.
Yeah, if,
yeah.
oh, whatever it is,
Yeah.
whatever the materials are that you want,
Yeah.
the trust to
Yeah.
contemplate, I think that'd be helpful.
Yeah, so I think what I can do after this meeting is formulate the questions, and maybe we can set up a time, and go ahead with that. Also, I would like to formulate how we're going to go on, because I know some of the things with the Affordable Housing Trust Plan is how we want things to go with the workshops and things along that line, and how we can engage in. So I want to create more of a thorough plan with that as well, because I want to make sure everybody's needs and desires are met with that.
Okay, couple questions. The agreement with the Regional Housing Coordinator Services, is that all signed and in place?
Not yet,
It's- Okay.
not yet. So I think I placed that on.
That's on the
agenda for
agenda.
tonight.
Oh.
Yeah, I think all that needs to be, we're gonna talk about that, I think, in the next meeting, which will be happening on the 20th. With Connor, we'll need all that to be, I think, all set to go as well. So we can discuss all of that also on the 20th.
Christine, could you forward the ADU presentation?
Yes, I can. I can
Yeah.
forward that and I'll forward in the presentation, hopefully the link will work for the bylaw section of the ADU, because I think you were there in the work presentation, right?
I was there for a short time and then I had to leave.
Okay, yeah, so we have a bylaw that's completely drafted and you can just add in from the town and fill in the blanks basically. So yeah, I can definitely forward that to you, absolutely.
Just to follow up on that real quick on the ADU portion of this, the House of Representatives, State House of Representatives, released its version of the housing bill, yesterday, and they called for ADUs by right,
Okay.
in every single family lot in the Commonwealth. I haven't read the text of it, so I don't know if there's any restrictions on it. I would assume they're just gonna push back if all of a sudden, single family housing became two-family housing without any restrictions on it, but that was something that the Speaker of the House was actually very excited about, which surprised me, but.
Also, one more thing, sorry. And I will be attending, I think it's the Mass Housing Partnership Conference, tomorrow, next week. I think Wednesday and Thursday, or Thursday or Friday, check my calendar. So I will be there taking notes and making sure whatever is there, and I can definitely report back and send you all the notes too. So I think a part of something that I'm going to do as this role is also attend a lot more housing conferences. I have talked with Connor and Trish about that, so we can end up going. And so if there's anything that you all would like, just like, okay, just see if can you attend this? I am starting to attend because Berlin was talking about it. MHP, I think it's the Metro, basically like the Greater Boston area's planning, like Regional Planning Commission. I am attending their housing coordinator stuff too now, so that's been interesting. So if there's anything that you would like for me to like attend, or anything in terms of conferences or anything that is going on, just please let me know. I can definitely add that in and trying to see if we can end up going forward with that too.
Right, that's the same meeting you're going to this week, yeah.
Next Wednesday, Thursday in Worcester. Christine?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Are you
Brian's
going to be
going
there?
I'll see you there.
I'll see you there.
One thing I would like clarification on is what the state is looking for in terms of ADU, if it's looking for that the main house has to be the owner occupied, or if any developer can buy a lot and put an ADU in there and rent it to whoever he wants. So I just sort of like to know the details of what the state, because I know the governor has her own package. Now the House does. I don't think the Senate's released its package yet. So your second question, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a valid question. Yeah,
No,
I'll
it's
try to
the-
get.
The presentation, she'll send it to us.
All right, sounds good.
So next is update on the Affordable Housing Trust Action Plan.
Just even just kind of
You gave it, yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Sorry, I kind of bundled both of them in together. Sorry about
yeah, it's okay.
that.
And then our favorite topic, an update on 28 Harvard Avenue North, the next steps and alternatives. So you want to give us the update?
So, yeah, I'll start with probably the more immediate issue, which is regarding make sure I'm not skipping over anything. Regarding the RFQ for the demolition, as you know, we had to cancel the RFQ for the demolition because it came to light that we needed what's referred to as a asbestos and lead survey. So apparently there's a DEP requirement that any residential structures prior to that, probably applies to commercial structures as well, but any residential structures that are proposed for demolition need to have what is called a asbestos and lead survey, and you have a company come out and they basically test and sample swaths of materials and then send that to a lab to confirm the existence of lead paint and or asbestos. And they document where it exists in the home and what quantity it is. And that information gets put into a report and then provided to demolition companies for when they go to demolish the home. So they obviously know what they are involving themselves on and what will be required to dispose of those materials. So with that information, I went ahead and I contacted the firms that do that sort of work, and I have some quotes here. I was able to reach out to 3 firms. I got 2 quotes back that are pretty similar. One of them was a larger range. He said it was around $2,000 would be the cost of it, and the other one was a narrow range, said $1,950 to about $2,100 to do this particular site. So we would need that in order to go forward with the RFQ. If the trust would like to, I have them here for you tonight if you want to look at them. There's just the cost estimate. That's ASAP, and this is it's an email that I was trading with a representative from GES that just quotes the $2,000 price tag on that, and then I just provided just a proof that I reached out to a third company, but they never.
Does this take, because it's such a low price tag?
Mhm.
That's, you can decide you can just award it, correct? You don't have to go to bid.
Correct.
It's best practices at this dollar amount. We just have to, because we're under 10,000.
Yeah.
We just need to solicit, make attempts to solicit 3 quotes. We don't even have to receive them. So.
So if the trust would like, they're basically the same price with, but if you'd like, my suggestion would be go to the firm that's most readily available.
Yeah.
Which I believe might be GES, in my conversations with that fellow. But if I could ask the trust to give me authorization to reach out to one of the firms and sure up services, I'll be glad to do that on the trust behalf.
Yeah, I like actually GES. I mean, I know of them.
Okay.
And that's and the costs are pretty similar.
Mhm.
I kind of like the idea of Beer at the Red Rock too, but. Beer at the Red Rock. You gotta read all this, you gotta read the whole.
Oh, right, yeah, sorry.
And he seems to be able to move pretty.
Let's hope he does it before he goes over there for
Yeah.
brunch and Bloody Mary's, eh?
Yeah, so he is local. I think he lives in West.
Yeah.
Florida, so yes.
You saw that one, didn't you? Sorry.
So, I mean, I would move that we accept GS if they can't do it expeditiously, then
Yes.
we can go for the company, but whichever one can do it quickest.
Then maybe this might. What is the typical, so after this is done, you can go for a request for quote
Mhm.
to demo companies.
Yeah.
And then do demo companies remediate or remove this, or is that another company we have to get a quote for?
That's a great question. And I will bring that to Joe and also town council. We had, in the original request for quotes, we had lumped this service into the demolition of it, assuming that the demolition companies would do their due diligence with regard to those things. And it wasn't, and then it was called out to us that this needs to be specifically separated from an RFQ. But whether, my assumption and based on what demo companies describe their services as, a lot of them are remediation and removal as well as demolition. But we can make sure to confirm that and make sure it's called out specifically in the RFQ document prior to going out. But Joe, do you have anything?
Yeah, we would be, depending on the findings coming out of the assessment, we would revise the RFQ or RFP to reflect the work the assessment indicates needs to be done. It may likely, depending on the scope, may have no change. Or it may be, higher cost. I'm anticipating there's gonna be something. At least the floor tiles have asbestos in it. But other than that, we'll just have to wait. I don't think it will be significant, but it should all fall under the same RFQ.
And through the chair, Joe, what are the what's the minimum time we need to be out to bid for this? Because I know when we put this out, we did receive a lot of- yeah.
We can escalate it. Because
And by this, just, sorry to interrupt, by this you mean the
Demolition.
for the demolition, okay.
yeah, so it needs to at least, bid opening cannot occur sooner than 14 days from publication in the central register.
Okay.
Central register, you have until like Thursday to get into the next Wednesdays.
Mhm.
So that whole process at least ends up being 3 weeks. So I would sort of, before we had it, I think at a full like month.
Yeah, I think so.
I would definitely shrink that down. These are companies that have probably already looked at some of it.
Mhm.
And, it's not a complicated project.
Mhm.
So,
But yeah, so and because there seemed to be a lot of eyes on, because I could have access to who looks at the document when we post it. And when we posted it immediately, there seemed to be a lot of firms pulling it. So my assumption would be that firms be ready to go. And we don't have to do like a full month. We can do the bare minimum as far as the 14-day publication.
So there was a motion on the floor, it was not seconded. To approve going ahead with GES.
I'll second that. I'll second that.
So all those, any discussion?
I just had a question. I'm just a member of the public. I'm not part of this, the trust, so I don't know if I can, allowed to speak. So I'm in a butter of 28 Harp Avenue. And years ago, before the Affordable Housing Trust owned the property, it was owned by the town. It was taken as a tax lien. And at that time, they did have a company come in to remove everything in that property for the purpose of having the building demolished.
No record of that.
So I don't know the exact year that was. I want to say obviously it was before the tax lien. I mean, after the tax lien and after the town owned the property. But prior to the Affordable Housing Trust owning the property. And Affordable Housing Trust owned the property, I think, in January of 2018 or 19.
18, I think.
So I want to guess that this was done by the town several years prior to that. My understanding was that they came in with hazmat suits, took everything out and boarded everything up, put the X's on the building. And then it just kind of sat there. So I don't know.
Those X's on the building aren't even there, right?
Oh, yes.
There.
Yeah.
Joe, didn't you just say the tiles of it? Yeah.
no, I'm saying that very often from the
Oh,
age
okay,
of.
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Um,
sorry.
I mean, we've looked, and that's one of the hard things is, I've not found any documents that indicate any sort of report, and we can look
There's nothing
again
in the building
before
file.
Yeah.
signing. If it was coordinated at the town manager's office, I would have some form of contract. So I'll take another look, but I had done an exhaustive search.
I'm
to
also
try
a
and
resident. I'm also a resident. I'm sorry, I'm on Teams.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pam.
And I live right next door to that house. And it was, what Sue is talking about is when the hazmat team came in, cleared it out. There was 5 large dumpsters that they did with the hazmat suits. And then after that, it was put up for bidding. And that's when I believe the trust took it over.
I think it was an auction.
It was an auction.
It was
Yeah.
auction.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that what would be useful is I don't want to delay this anymore. And I really appreciate the input, Pam. Pam, do you know how to do the raise hand thing? Because that way I can tell that you want to speak. If you can't, worry about it, but just speak up like you just did after the trust, you know, during the conversation about certain issues. But anyways, you know, maybe Joe, if you could look at it this week
Yeah.
and you know, basically award the contract on Monday.
I'll look and see if maybe there's more files in the Racine building that. Yeah, because there's nothing in the building.
Let's
files.
have the Board of Health as well.
Yeah.
They may have record as well, because they may have gotten a copy of the final.
Yeah.
They'd have to provide an assessment report that the work has been
Mhm.
done,
Yeah.
and we'll just dig through one more time. But I'd anticipate a Board of Health would be copied on that.
Because I think the town got the land tax in 2014.
Yeah.
We sat on it for 4 years before it went up for auction, so that's pretty.
And I almost want to say that there was like it was on the town warrant for the voters to approve. It was something like the amount of $10,000 to approve the house could get cleaned out.
Hmm.
So I don't know if it's on a town warrant somewhere.
Yeah.
And you guys can do this by week's end.
Well, yeah, helpful to know. Like, I mean, it was even difficult to even find an original copy of the RFP, right? So the documents back then were.
I've got a question. If they can't find it, can we, we've already voted to approve the 2K, so does that still extend? Or do we have to vote again next month?
No, what we requested, I don't know if it takes another motion, but what we requested is for Joe and Mike to sort of do a deep dive into this.
But otherwise, we
And then if
approved
they can't on
2K.
Monday,
Right.
to reach out to GS.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
Or
there's something obviously already in place, we'll do our best to look to
Yeah,
locate that. And
yeah.
if we can proceed with just that, we will.
That's good.
So it does not take another vote. It's done.
Okay, good.
This is just a step. You know, and even so, I wonder if everything is still the same, you know,
Yeah,
in
that's
terms
true.
of, you know, if they did this in 2015, you know, Mass DEP is changed several times,
Yeah.
so, okay. So next,
So then the next step after that is the RFP. And so you all received the bid that we received from Habitat for Humanity. Again, the same, probably not the same bid, but the same bidder that the trust received back in 2018, I think it was, before the trust then kind of went silent for a while before reforming last year. So I had reached out for clarification on the number, the number you have quoted to you, as far as in the document, the amount of money that it would take to redevelop that property into just one house, for an affordable unit, was I think 450 something.
460 was it 463? I had to bring that with me.
And
Trying to look for that.
Yeah.
And
It is in
the,
that range, yeah.
and the contribution from the municipality, per their bid, was 30% of that. And so I reached out to Habitat this morning to just confirm that the 30% is 30% of that number, meaning 157,000 roughly around there. Just look for that email that I got. Yeah, I said, to clarify, that's a total of $155,167. The proposal assumes a donation of the land at $1 is the 155,167, the total estimated municipal funding. Can you confirm that is not offset by the value of the property in any way? And they confirmed that, yes, that is the case, and that would be the contribution.
So it's like an additional amount
Yes.
of 158.
No, not an additional. That is the amount.
Hold on, I thought that they weren't counting the land towards the town's contribution.
They're not.
That's what he
Right.
just said.
That's what I, yeah,
Right,
correct.
so it'd be all the, if I read this correctly, and if you could, correct me if I'm wrong, the town, by the time this is finished, the demo and everything else is gonna cost about $250,000. And so they're asking for another $150,000 from the Affordable Housing Trust on top of that. And then it seemed also in the proposal that they were assuming that the utilities would be provided for free as well. And so that would not be an offset.
The hookup.
A reduction in a waiver of hookup fees, which
Right.
are really a typical request.
Yes, but that's not counted as part of the town's,
Right.
it was my understanding from reading the proposal that the town's not on this would be about another $155,000 cash. So when they came up with the $463,000 it would cost to build that, they did not include the land value, the hookup value, or anything. So the total cost for one small unit of housing would be over $750,000 if we added it up.
Of our sunk cost of the acquiring the land and.
Well, the total, they would, I think 40% is what they're gonna sell it to somebody, 40% of the 453. They're gonna sell it to somebody, which would be what, $150,000 for a $750,000 house.
Another spot, they say 285,000 projected sale price, but then if you do the math.
Yeah, I know.
40%, it's different.
And then the rest of the money would be, the other percentage of the money would be from, basically town businesses and grants. And
It's on the two.
so basically, well, I will open it up to the board. The board will,
Well, there was a, sorry, they also projected what it would cost for a duplex, right?
Yeah,
yeah, which was over $1 million.
this is gonna be more, yeah.
So,
Rough estimates were basically at $1 million for that, it says.
so I'd like to open it up for discussion by trust members, and then I'll open it up for discussion by the public after the trust discusses it.
I suppose the first question I have is there any wiggle room in that? Or is that hard and fast, that number?
We'd have to invite them in to discuss that, I don't know.
I think we should view it as, I don't know, but as a starting point, like if it's an offer, then we should negotiate.
I agree.
I mean, there were a lot of, and I understand, I've been told as part of the new building codes, like this includes like an EV charging station.
Really?
Oh, good, yeah.
And I mean, it's sort of a real Cadillac of a house. It's thermal, it has thermal heating,
Right, yeah.
heat pumps, yeah. Thermal.
Yeah.
So,
So all those things are required now through stretching.
that's what I was,
Yeah.
yeah, so,
So any new build of any house has to have all these things? Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
so
Gosh, when did that happen?
Recently.
I think it was in the last year when the state was.
Well, it's a good
and
idea.
stuff.
It's a very good idea.
And we have to build affordable housing. So I guess, so Brian, do you have any thoughts on the?
Yeah, quite a few. Okay, I hear them all. The first takeaway is that this per unit cost seems extremely high.
Yeah.
And that I think this construction costs need to be in line. It's like $219 per square foot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm no builder, but from what I hear, and I talked to my daughter who just built a house, but it's a different type of house. That was almost $300 a square foot. So that didn't alarm me, but we definitely challenge that. Then the soft costs of 125,000, I have no idea what those are, which is, we need to understand that much better. And hopefully there's some room there, we could get that reduced. And then we definitely need to point out, it's always like the investment of a sunk cost, and this is unfortunately sunk cost this property, and this trust would not have purchased that land, but we have it. So we're 175,000 roughly into it, which I think we should view as a sunk cost, but there is some value in that. We're gonna put in, I don't know what the demo is, but maybe another 30 or 40, maybe. So we're up to like 215 just from the contributions already. And I'd like to see that valued more than the $1 that value in that. That's some of the viewpoints that we should push back on. And then if they are asking for an additional 30% beyond the value of the land and the site preparation and demo, all that, we would be, like I say, you could be careful with the sunk cost, but maybe the market value of that land, I would say, I'm throwing this out, $100,000. And then another 150,000. So is that how you get the 250, Kelly? They're looking for a town to put in. And we get one unit that's on our SHI list. Whereas you get a chapter 40B or working with a favorable developer on something, we get much more value on that 250 and get maybe, hopefully, we're talking about 16 units, 15 units on the other project.
60, it's 60 units because it's an apartment. So it's 60 units on the SHI.
Yeah,
Yes.
about 60 units. Yeah, so far per cost of, on our SHI, and maybe incorrectly, I know those aren't affordable, but one of our goals, at least one of my views of a goal, is to get us above the 10%, so we're not subject to 40Bs. So I think there's just other better uses in leveraging. That's one of our goals, to get to that greater than 10%.
Okay.
The long answer.
I do agree with what you said, Brian. My only concern is that we're only talking about apartments and not talking about homes for families. And I think that's really an important part of what we're supposed to be doing here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is a very large amount of money. I agree. You know, where do we go from? We don't have any land left once we've sold this land or got rid of this land. What do we do? Decide we're going to buy some other land somewhere else. Well, we're going to pay market value if we buy land somewhere else to build, and then we're going to be back to square one again. Pretty much.
Here's one of the things I wanted to talk about, is looking at alternatives. And I think this was brought up, Brian alluded to it. Because quite frankly, I am not, the trust bought the land. And we're stuck with it. And we're stuck taking the property down because it's a hazard and the neighbors had to deal with that. So we have to take that property, we have to take that down, and town meeting has approved that. So that's done. So we already sunk, probably when it comes down to insurance and everything else, you know, you said about 250,000 at least into this parcel. The expectation that we're going to put in at least another 155,000 to me is, you know, I really don't want to do it. And the couple things I was really going to ask the trust to do, if the trust wanted to, is one is to bring it to the attention of the Board of Selectmen and to make them aware, hey, you survived the traffic. And, so there's water in there's a little room there with water cups if you need it.
Thank you.
Is to write a letter saying that you know, would like to explore. And the couple of options that jump to mind for me is, you know, A, turn it back to the town. And I don't know how the town would respond to that. And the town can put like a park in there or something like that. The other thing is to, you know, several of the neighbors have expressed interest. I've been told by the manager that since it's owned by the trust, it has to be used for affordable housing. That's the purpose for it. You know, I don't know if there's wiggle room or loophole in the definition of if we get $100,000 for it, and that 100,000 goes to affordable housing. I was told that we had to recoup the cost that we put into it, which right now in its current state is almost 175,000, which is not, it's not what the land is worth, and I don't think anyone would pay for it. Which brings us to the possibility of filing a home rule petition with the legislature to ask for permission and to explain what we're looking at doing. But I think that it behooves us at this point. We could do a parallel with negotiating with Habitat, but it behooves us at this point to look for options. And the two options I was thinking of was, you know, and feel free to add them or take them away, is bring this to the attention of the Board of Selectmen. Because it should be, you know, I've been approached by different members of the board who are concerned about this. And I think it belongs in their lap. No, and you know, and the other thing is to
Concerned about what, about it in what way?
about, you know, it's there and the cost of doing anything, you know, it's like, let's look at other options. So I think it's time to, you know, ask for their involvement in this. And, you know, I think council would have a say in it too, because I think council's the one that counseled you about, you know, what potential uses of the property are.
I mean, the uses are really only associated to the use of the CPC funds to purchase it in the first place. We have to, the money that was spent from CPC funds would have to be paid back.
Okay,
Whatever mechanism that ends up being, that's pretty much what has to happen. Otherwise, we're in violation of finance laws as it relates to appropriation of CPC funds.
so theoretically, and I'm making up numbers here because my brain doesn't think this way. If we spend $230,000 on it of CPC money, because we, you know, got money from them to pay for the for the demolition. And we turn back that $230,000 to the CPC, then we can sell the land to.
Yeah.
I mean, it cuts our losses.
Yeah,
I think you almost need to have a scenario one, a scenario two, develop the housing, and then what it takes to get out from under it, and then bottom line, because you'd need town meetings authorization to basically buy it back, see where it ends up, and, you know,
Well,
maybe
the town's authorization to buy what back.
the property back.
the town buy it.
So if the town authorized using CPC funds to acquire the property,
Okay,
you know, the $200,000, we have to put that money back in CPC somehow. So essentially, you're asking the town to pay itself, to pay back the CPC funds,
okay.
but we have to come up with those funds in the first place, which is really either free cash or raise and appropriate.
Wasn't the original $200,000 that was used at the auction and then also for legal and closing and insurance costs? I don't think the motion said we're going to use that money to buy 28 Harvard Ave North. The Affordable Housing Trust sounded like it had just been formed like the year before. We need some money to be able to make choices and investments to be able to achieve our goals. And then they chose that. So if
Actually, you're correct.
I'll say a mistake, but the market conditions change or the situation's changed, you can't correct a bad situation. It just seems, because we're still going to use, I'll just, the example, maybe we sell the land, but we would still use that for affordable housing
I mean, the money, the
purposes.
yeah.
Yes, we're not gonna use it. Maybe the park would not be acceptable because they didn't give us money for park.
Yeah, I mean, first, if the trust wants to basically put this back, or tell the select board, like, look, we have a significant issue where developing this for this unit, will realistically, we will be spending a significant amount of money that seems above and beyond what reasonably should be done for, constructing affordable housing. If looking at any sort of, is there any wiggle room? I'll be going back to town council to say, is there even a remote chance we can find a way? Is there, like I said, a home rule petition that could be submitted to basically take this away, almost like bankruptcy of some sort? Because essentially the project is where you're just throwing good money after bad, because the town never should have spent $200,000 for this property. And, you know, one of the things is that residents, the biggest risk may be from residents, that residents could file a complaint, sue the town for misappropriation of CPC funds because you acquired a property, you never built affordable housing. Depending on the advocacy level of the town, that may be.
Was part of the conversation.
That in some towns, that would be a significant risk. Here, we can make it safe.
Yeah.
Maybe then we just take time, we've removed the hazard.
Yeah.
And we wait for things to improve so that maybe market does change. Maybe there's a different interest. Maybe this proposal just is not realistic. Maybe this prefab housing, we can work with someone to install instead. We don't have to accept this proposal. It's a good vehicle to examine the logistics and the finances.
Yeah.
We don't have to accept it.
Right.
But the current situation is also unacceptable.
We have to do, that's gonna be 20 to 30K, well worth it, because anything happens to someone.
We're
Yeah.
liable.
And that would probably substantially reduce the insurance costs. Because right now we're paying, over 20,000 a year, I think, because we have
No.
I thought it was,
I thought it 3,000.
I think it was more like 2,000.
I thought it was way higher than that.
I thought it was only 1,600.
No,
I didn't think
It is
It varied,
closer to that.
it varied over the years.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we initially looked at it, there was like a charge in like December and a charge in January. And I think it was confusing as to whether or not if that was 1 year's worth, or was that was supposed to cover that year prior and that year going forward. So I think that's what it was. But yeah, I tend to agree with Joe. I think it was something in the range of 1,600 to 2,000.
But I have to get ready for another meeting, but just like FineCon, there's no harm in sort of really inviting them in and really pushing them hard to say, look, what else can be done? Because for us to spend essentially $400,000 for a home that is not even going to be sold for that, that's a significant investment on the town that we're looking for other options.
and under the assumption that another third is gonna come from.
Well, that's
what he's talking
what I'm
No,
talking.
but I mean another on top of the third that, it's it's got. to come from
I thought it
town
was a
businesses,
third of their the
Yes.
total construction cost.
But the other third comes from town businesses and individuals and.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Positively.
Foundation grants.
You're talking about the money geographically from the town.
Yeah.
More generally, not the
Not the
town
municipality.
as the municipality.
So what is the process? I still like to, I'd like to, before you go, to
Can I
bring a
ask
board
one
of
question?
selectmen on this.
Does Habitat understand that we were not gifted this land, we paid substantial amount of money for it?
I mean, that wasn't, we didn't get into the background of the
Right.
transfer and things throughout and publishing the RFP, but I can't remember if that was discussed. It probably was.
I think we talked
Yeah,
about
talked
it.
about, when we had an informal sit down with them several months ago.
So can we just do you need an official request or can we just set up a briefing with the board?
For the trust, you can do a briefing.
Yeah.
I'd recommend it after meeting with the Habitat for Humanity, get a little bit better information
Okay.
and then to say like, hey, we met with them, we pushed back, we're trying to construct this, but we may not think this is the best option.
Okay.
Um,
So,
The one thing I don't want to have happen, to be honest, is leave the lot vacant. Just take the property down and just leave this derelict lot. That won't beautify the neighborhood either. I just don't want to see that happen.
Well, I mean, you would grade it, I mean, it would be left in a,
No, fair enough, but who's gonna take care of it?
well, and that would be
You
something.
can leave it, then bring it like, but nature has a habit of taking over, doesn't it?
But that might be, I mean, that's something, yes, so,
But I'd be happily available to one if you do schedule, or if you want to just give an update.
Okay. Yeah.
It's fine.
Okay.
So,
Thank
okay,
you, Joe.
see ya.
so anyways, we got a bunch of options on the table. One is to wait, to take it down, clean it up and wait for market conditions to improve. And to carry it. The other is to, and that would buy us time to maybe go to the legislature, do a poll to try to get it so we can do it. The other is to, pay back the Community Preservation Committee or, to the funds, which I think would also be prohibitive. And then, the other is to, Mike suggested to go out and look for other options like prefab or something.
I was gonna say, prefab sounds like
Yeah,
an idea.
so anyone else have any other thoughts? Because I think, I don't know, Pam,
I'd like to ask what you say market conditions improve. I mean, how are they going to improve? What's going to happen?
land may gain value again. And so other people may, it may be, if it's not costing us much money to hold it, to maintain it. So it's in a condition that, isn't a,
So,
but it also gives us time to, go to the state and ask for an exemption to the law, so we don't have to pay back the CPC, and we can just sell it. So those are certain options. Hold on, let me wrap up the board conversation first, and then Pam, I'll let you.
Jessica's got an hand up.
Oh. What happened?
It's Jessica who has a hand
Oh,
up.
okay. Oh, she's not on.
I mean,
Okay, yeah,
I was just gonna throw another suggestion in with, I know Mass Housing has their grant, which we can maybe apply for technical assistance or anything along that line. Cause I know Mendon's running into this issue because they have bought a property and they really don't know what to do with it. And there could be technical assistance or any sort of assistance that can come in with engineers or developers or anything along that line to see what can be done with that. That could also be an option. It literally, to be honest, takes an hour and a half of our time to fill in the grant and just to see what other options that we can have for that technical assistance or anything along that line that can come in. And that's with Mass Housing. So I can send further information about that grant if you all want to look into that as well.
See, but that's through the chair. That's just a grant for the technical assistance, right?
It's for technical assistance. It could be for, let's say you guys are like, okay, like we bought this land, we don't really know what to do with it, what can be done with it. So they have a team of their, I guess, expertise that can end up looking into it. And I know a few projects have been done that way. So just a thought.
it doesn't hurt, but I don't know what value it can really add at this point. It's a,
I'm not sure, but one possibility could be is they identify other sources of funding.
Yeah.
So that reduces, see, our township, I think we still have to be representative of what's the right cost.
I know.
It's still high, even though if it's not our money, then
Yeah.
we're more apt to,
Yeah.
then we could
Yeah.
be happy with that because it achieves the goal of affordable housing unit on that site.
Yeah.
Might not still be the right choice, even though it's not our funding. But it gives us another option.
I think at the very beginning, we were talking about the option of being able to dispose of this land and use that money to leverage something else that will actually provide
Or, you know,
more units of affordable housing. And, so, I mean, there's a lot to look at, but I think that what, Joe said about, and Mike said about getting Habitat in to talk about it, to see if we can, you know, really do a deep dive into the cost and have them accept the cost of the land as our town share.
Yep.
Because that way we wouldn't be putting any more money in it. I don't know if that's possible because they have a really Cadillac model for the type of housing they want to put in. And again, you know, a lot of it is stretch code. I think a lot of it Energy Star rated, and stuff like that, but you know, maybe we reduce, I think the way they're doing it now is, you know, which is good, is live in place, you know, 3 or 4 bedrooms. I mean, they're talking about pretty, and I think it has to be multiple, because it's 2 or 3 or 3 or 4 bedrooms. Yeah,
Oh, I forget.
Yeah.
It's
3 to 4.
yeah,
that was gonna be my
Yeah.
guess.
you
3
know,
upstairs and 1 on the first.
yeah, yeah.
Which is identified as a study or deck. But
Okay,
could-
yeah,
could be a bed.
yeah. But I think if they reduce, you know, I mean, it still provides enough for a family.
Yeah.
You know, and if they up the amount, they're using their definition of what they want to sell it for,
Mm.
rather than what the state requires it be sold for to be. I'd rather have, you know, for this particular unit, I think
Yeah.
we all agree that we need more real affordable housing. But I think since we're the ones that are footing the majority of the bill on this, I'd rather
Yeah.
reduce that as much as possible. So I think there are a lot of things that we can talk to them about to see if they can help us, but I would rather, you know, not put any more money into that. So, so next steps, are people okay with doing a briefing for the board of select?
Should we go to Habitat and Community, talk to them first?
Yes, that's what
Yeah.
Joe suggested.
Yeah.
We should do that
And then.
first.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
We need a motion on that? No.
when do you think we can,
You don't need a motion on anything because you're not, you're certainly not voting to award the bid
Okay.
at this time. Doesn't sound like you're in a place to do that, and that's fine. You don't have to. So that's, I don't think there was any sort of action item.
No.
Except maybe to apply for the grant that Jesse was talking about, which I just pulled up the application.
Good idea.
but that doesn't take a vote, we can just ask you to do it, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. I mean, Mike, if you wanna sit down with me sometime, we can just go over it and do it within like the hour. It's pretty simple.
Yeah. I'm looking at it now.
Yeah.
Well, while we're taking, let's capitalize on the opportunity on this. Jasifa, through the chair, it says provide details on the kind of technical assistance you are requesting. What are your thoughts as to the kind of technical assistance we'd be requesting at this time? I already selected like assistance with public land for housing development / preservation, Community Preservation Act, and Municipal Affordable Housing Trust, because all of that applies, but
Yeah, all of that.
We can talk
applies, like,
about it
for
later, right?
example, I'm not gonna say like what town, but I'm helping out a town with, they're having a development that they're doing, and I'm like, we wrote the grant for, like providing septic system. I mean, very simple, but like, it could be like something like that, or it's like, okay, we don't know what to do with this. We need to find cost of what's going on and what's happening with this, and we're kind of, I guess, stuck to like know what's going on, like whether we should, like, like, it's kind of like, how do we, like, what's the most effective way to use this?
Yeah.
So we can end up putting that in.
I think Brian raised the point of looking for, other funding sources.
Yeah.
Is that something that can be put in because
oh, that's a great idea. We can.
Yeah,
discuss
we can
that.
put that in too. Yeah, we can put that
we
into
gotta
the
find
grant.
other
Yeah,
funding
we can
source?
say, exactly, we can put in what funding sources we need. We can say like, we're kind of stuck with these points of views and this is what we need assistance and help with. And they obviously have a bigger network and they can provide that assistance and kind of go with that. Cause that's kind of what this grant is, I believe, like used for, which is to help smaller towns increase housing production and things along that line, which I think would be a great opportunity. I mean, it doesn't hurt. It's literally, it doesn't hurt. We can apply for the grant. There is a match that they ask. If we don't provide the match, that's fine, but it just helps us get the chance of the grant. That's one thing, and we would need like letters of support. So we have like the Affordable Housing Trust. We would need like a map of the area, but yeah, we can go over the whole logistics of it if you guys are interested.
So just to make sure we have this covered in case it does make sense to apply, can I ask for a motion for the Affordable Housing Trust to write a letter of support? To submit, yeah, for the grant. And do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Nay, okay. So Grace, can you write a letter?
Literally send over a draft too, if
Okay,
you want to look at it, and then kind of just go from there. Yeah, I have a draft that I've written already. Sorry, please excuse the background. But yeah, I have a draft that I've written for other towns that I can end up sending over for other housing trusts and housing committees. So yeah.
okay. What I'd like to do, if it's okay with the trust members, if no one else really has any comments on this conversation, is to ask if you or Pam have anything to say.
Well, we'll do that and look forward to the results of that. But who's contacting Habitat?
Yeah, I'll reach out to Habitat. I've been in contact with them already.
As soon as possible, because I'd like to get to the selectmen before they go on some recess.
Yes, but you want to have them come here, so,
I would like to meet with
yeah.
Habitat for Humanity as quickly as possible.
Okay, so then you just need to give me a date as to when you'd like to meet.
Folks,
I'm out of town for the next couple of weeks. Pacific Northwest.
We need a whole board?
No,
Because we're just.
Not really.
Right?
Yeah.
No decisions.
I mean, you need a quorum
Okay.
to conduct business.
I'm available till 26th.
Okay.
Gone for 3 weeks.
Okay. The 19th.
I have a conference I have to go to from the 16th to the 5th, but that, at the week that has the 26th in it would be good for me.
Okay.
So if we could just have them come for that, that'd be great.
Maybe at night.
Um,
Didn't you say you're going away on the 26th?
Yeah, I won't be here.
well, no, but I mean the
That's
26th,
fine, yeah.
no, but the week that's the 20th, when are you going away?
The entire last week,
That's good.
Which is,
looking at
Yeah, the 24th.
24th through the 28th, I think I
Yeah.
mentioned that.
so what is the Friday before you go?
21st is the Friday before I leave.
Do it maybe that Friday. Gina, are you around on Fridays? You going to Boston?
Well, yeah, I could make it work. I could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. I'll be back.
So, June 21st.
And that gives us a chance to get on the select.
Yeah, I can put it. I'll do it.
Okay,
Good.
So you'll just let us know.
so this will be during the day, correct? Gina, you okay during the day?
Let us right.
Well, no, it's up to the trust. if
Yeah.
you want me.
Okay,
I'm putting it
Okay.
up right now.
so on Fridays, they have half days, so if we can do it in the morning, that'd be good, like around 10 or so. But if you can reach out to them. Okay,
Yeah, and I'll confirm if they can even make it, obviously.
so it's questions from the public. Pam, you have any questions?
No,
Okay.
other than the sooner we don't have to look at that mess, it would be really great. Because the house is just disgusting, the land is overgrown and it's just gross. That's all I can say. So I hear everything that you just said and I understand your points. But for us to have to look at it day in, day out.
Yep,
What you said.
Just for, I guess, a question. If demolition is scheduled, does the Affordable Housing Trust contact the abutters or does the demolition company contact the abutters?
Nobody usually that contacts butters, but we can work that into the agreement.
Okay, because, and the reason I ask that is depending on the extent of the demolition, I don't know if that includes any clearing of land because, or just the.
Shouldn't, except to get to the shed out back. So they might not be able to get to that shed because of it's been so overgrown between the house and the shed. So they might have to knock down a couple trees just to get back there. I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not the demolition company, but
Because honestly, all of us neighbors are quite concerned about what is living in the shed.
Mhm.
Any kind of wildlife that will eventually come out of that area.
Mhm.
Just having a heads up, knowing not to have our garages open, you know, that sort of thing. You don't know what's in there. I mean, you could have hornets in there. You don't want to release that without neighbors knowing of the potential of that. I mean, every storm that we have where there's high winds, we always wonder what's gonna, you know, fall on the roof of that house, because the tall pine trees, they just drop everything constantly. And there are a lot of dead trees on that property
So they really need to be taken down.
for safety, for sure.
Yeah, that's something we need to talk about too.
There's a lot
Really?
of, trees, a lot of people that
Mhm.
pull in here, even people that have pulled in there, you know, like I can see that they're struggling to get into it. You know, the people that have come to look at the place or, you know, give you guys estimates and stuff. I've seen them have even a hard time even pulling all the way in. So it is overgrown and yes, we don't know what's living in there, but you know, it does have a lot of dead trees too.
So does the demo proposal also include, or will it also include backfill of the cellar hole and, okay.
That was the, that was in the
That's what I
language
thought. Okay,
to stabilize the land. and-
okay,
yeah.
stabilize.
I thought it was a slab. I don't think there's a,
Right, but it would be ground disturbance regardless, and so we want them to stabilize the land after. Yeah,
Because the slab, all foundations will be removed, right?
yes.
And there's nothing about restoration, it's just stabilizing.
Yeah, just stabilizing to not create an issue for the wetlands on the property. And I was just agree, you don't want a
Yeah.
tiny little landslide happening either. That's not good. So
Yeah.
Tiny little limbs. Okay. But you will work it into the RFP that.
That
about
language
the
is
abutter notification.
yes.
okay, yeah, that was my main concern, just knowing ahead of time when something would happen and just, again, I'm on Cape Way and it is a private road. And I just want to mention and just really have it so that this committee can hear it. And I know the select board has heard from me before as well. It is a private road and oftentimes construction vehicles will park on Cape Way. And they shouldn't. Because they cave in, there are pipes underneath Cape Way.
Mhm.
The heavy machinery has wrecked the side of the asphalt going up Cape Way. And it's something that we as homeowners who are on that road have to pay for, to repair. Heavy construction vehicles tend to park on the grass, which is owned by my neighbor, and leave huge ruts and then don't do anything about the huge ruts. So whenever, I don't know how much control you would have over a demolition company. However, it would be greatly appreciated if they didn't park their vehicles on Cape Way.
Yep.
Because it's not a town-owned
Well,
street.
We can make that clear to them.
And can we also put something there about restoration for any damage to,
Well, that's.
Well, if
going to do it here.
they're not there, they won't.
Let's leave it simple.
Yeah.
yeah.
We've had that before on our street too.
But
I know, yeah.
it is hard, but like when I went to find the damn place, I drove up Cape, I was a construction vehicle. But, you know, that's,
Right.
it's a hard place to find.
I did not go and look at now,
Uh,
if I could even find it here.
yeah, there's a driveway right next to Cape Way and it's, yeah, so, okay. And I really appreciate your patience and, you know, with this has been. And I appreciate the trust patience with this because I don't think anyone here was expecting that so much time would go into dealing with this piece of property. So. But anyways. Okay. Any other conversation on this? Okay.
If you're done with that,
We're done with
that
that,
topic,
yeah.
then I'll scoot out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you again too for taking
Yeah.
up this time for the 28 Hartford Ave North. I appreciate it. You have a wonderful evening.
Yeah. Thank you. Next on the agenda was updated 47 Main Street.
I guess I already did that.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought. Next is discussion RKG economic feasibility analysis and BTA communities.
It's up for the trust to discuss. I mean, that gets sent out. I would encourage anyone, if you're interested in it, to take a look at the planning board's last meeting. The planning board had RKG come in and present on that study, so you get a better understanding of what went into it, what their assumptions were, how they arrived at those numbers. But generally, the big takeaway from that study is the study supports 12.5% of 12.5% of any new development within, there's a lot of caveats, within the MBTA zoning district as it is currently proposed. A new development could support 12.5% of affordable housing units be dedicated as a total of the entire development, right? So if it's 100 units, 12.5
He
units.
did that one, yes.
Yeah, I use very round numbers.
Yeah.
I made it easy for myself.
Yeah, and I think the question was that the way the indicate communities, it's, law is written, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it's restricted to 10% of the total
Yes.
unless you can make the argument
Yeah.
that the town can support more.
Yeah.
And so the RKG study said the town can support more. So we can require 12.5 rather than just 10.
It did go up to potentially 15.
15,
They
yeah.
gave a range of 12.5 to 15, but no more than 15.
Would that be driven by the market price of the commercial units covering subsidized units?
Yeah, the market rate units,
Inflation?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a holistic approach to looking at what a developer needs for a rate of return for construction and what the private industry bases their numbers on to determine whether or not the project is feasible. Right, so that's what it's all based on is industry standards, market standards on those.
Has Upton chosen what's the next step with MBTA communities in defining where the zone is?
And that's basically it. So through the chair, the planning board is in the driver's seat as of right now to, I've offered suggested locations. The current suggested locations that study was based off of is the strip of general business district on Route 140 in front of the proposed Governor's Landing project. So that strip of land, which is about 14 acres, existing entirely within the general business zone. So that if we're not looking at a map of the zoning district, but general business is, follows 140. It goes in just 300 feet deep off of 140 into those properties. It's that strip of land that's approximately 14 acres in front of the Governor's Landing.
When you say in front of Governor's Landing, do you mean?
It's in a bot,
Right, is that, I was going to mention this later on, is that the property that's owned by Holly, who owns Hollyfix?
No,
no, it's owned by,
Further
Fafford owns it. I mean, it's part of their development.
unless she owns it, I'm a.
She owns, well, David met her today and they got on, I don't know how they got onto the topic of this, but she said she owns 12 acres that is between Governor's Landing and here.
Yeah.
And she's interested in selling it. She's interested in multifamily units and affordable housing. So,
Okay, tell her, did you have David just have her contact me?
yeah.
No, but I mean, the parcel you're talking about is the one that's part of the Governor's Landing project, right?
Yes.
Yes, and it's already been, you know, the zoning board has already approved that it's, can be used for residential purposes. So seeing this is already going to be used for development, it was a way to think about, because I think the plan is to bring it to town meeting this fall for a vote, the MBTA communities. And if we put it there, it's in a development that's already there. So it increases the density a little bit. I think it adds all of 5 units or something around there to the Governor's Landing project. So because there's already dense housing there.
And this would be part of Backward and Super.
This is part of Governor's Landing project. And Michael's already talked to them and they're okay with that.
Looks like a lot of different properties, I know.
Yeah, and so that was intentional, to incorporate a lot of different properties to avoid claims of spot zoning, for anybody who's familiar with that argument. So I've highlighted roughly 11 acres just in my rough attempts to sketch out the potential district. But you see that, I don't think anybody's online to. Okay. Well, just see if I should see. So this is what I've sketched out here. That is roughly where the general business zone is and how it exists currently. And so that district was proposed for a few reasons. Number one, it's a site that's proven to be viable for development purposes, and that's essentially that's a general criteria really for the state when they're approving these districts. Obviously, there's more specific criteria where they're going to make sure that you haven't located your zoning district over a lake, right? Well, if they didn't say that, the towns would do it.
I know.
And so, yeah, so it's proven to be feasible. Obviously, we're extending the sewer, we're attempting to extend the sewer and water down to service that site. So it'll provide for the type of density that MBTA requires, MBTA zoning requires, which is 15 units an acre. That's a substantial hurdle to overcome when there isn't infrastructure available to support housing, right? So that was the proposed site, and obviously, and because it was an area we could provide that is not approaching town-wide, you know what I mean? It's a small district that conforms the minimum requirement of what size the district should be. So 14 acres exceeds the size, but it makes sense just given the context of how the site is and overlaying the general business zone. So that area is what RKG evaluated. They also evaluated the downtown area, which I'll also sketch out roughly, but it's not going to be exact. You know, this is Upton Center Business District. I don't believe it was 33 acres when they evaluated it. It was less than that. Because it didn't go up past Nelson Street. It stayed on the lots that that had frontage on 140 for the most part. But that also went in. And so that, you know, as my discussions with RKG and CMRPC was, these seem like the most reasonable districts to put forward. Obviously, we're not married to it. It can change. If the planning board reviews this and they say to themselves, you know, we don't like either of these districts. It should be simple enough to just take what RKG has already provided and substitute in another property. And so long as we're not making substantial changes to setback requirements, height requirements, and parking requirements, because all of those things really help to inform what the rate of return is that informed that 12.5 to 15%. So long as that is not substantially changed, we have a lot of wiggle room with locating this district. But and this district was offered as a suggestion of if the town is interested in pursuing infill development within your center business district, I mean, that would make good planning sense. You know, that follows best practices when you're talking about smart growth. It also would achieve certain economic development goals as far as bringing in income to support the businesses in the downtown center business district, all that sort of stuff. But with the understanding that that also might not be politically feasible.
I think the resistance to that would be much stronger than
Yeah.
definitely.
I think also opportunity for a successful outcome of trying to get affordable units there, because that's not that one big piece of developable land that.
Right. Yeah, I'd say if you're looking at potential success in constructing those units, definitely the Governor's Landing site is a good bet. You know, this wouldn't, as far as immediate return is within the next several years. This would not, I don't think, give you immediate return on that, because of the amount of competing private interests that is selected within the, you know, how many properties do I have selected right there, right? A whole lot. So, you know, people with those individual properties would be able to sell and redevelop potentially, but certainly that's not going to be everyone's desire.
Right.
But again, you know, we probably have a hard time with that at town meeting, just given the brand of MBTA. So, I would suggest if the planning board in the town wants to pursue infill in Upton Center, hold off and do it a different way.
You can, I was gonna say, you can do that for either day. I mean, this, I think by read of the planning board thus far, it's the Governor's Landing project seems to fulfill the requirements and to be politically palatable.
Mhm.
And so I think there's a good chance that it'll pass. Do they need simple majority of 2/3 to pass?
Oh, a simple majority
Okay,
for this, yeah,
okay,
at town meeting.
yeah, so, so yeah. And that way, you know. And it's gonna be a tough sell anyway, because people just object to the state telling us what to do.
Yes.
So you're gonna have some people there that are just gonna vote no because the state wants us to do it. Even though Governor's Landing is gonna have, what is it, it's gonna be an extra 15 or 20 units?
100, yeah, I mean, the Governor's Landing is already permitted for 127 units on that
Right.
property. It's 80 acres of land there for 127. Really, if you were to transpose their plan on top of that proposed district, I mean, that they already have, I think, 27 units.
Yeah.
It's a mess now. They already have 27 units within the front of their property located there. I mean, realistically, are they gonna get another 100 units in there to, I mean, maybe.
I think you were estimating like 25.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the difference of, I mean,
When are we gonna start building Governor's Landing?
as soon as we get sewer and water over there,
How long is that gonna take?
it takes longer every day.
Sort of say
Years, months, years?
The goal would have it in by the end of the calendar year next year.
Wow. Okay.
That's the goal.
So it's a long ways off.
So moving forward with you, any more discussion on RTG economics? We all have that document. So the next thing, regional housing coordinator, the contract for 2025.
So circulated, you will have that. If you're comfortable making a motion to endorse it, I can finalize that with Kathy as the chair afterwards. I don't think I have a printout of it anyway, but
I do.
oh, let's go.
So, and I might not have just seen it, the actual job description, I don't know, is that attached? I might have just not.
No, I don't think it was.
Okay. So if we could just have that,
Absolutely.
and then, what tier are we at proposing? Okay, maybe
I think the first
With
tier.
first year, the lowest.
we're on to we.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was anything that was clarification on.
And this trust already, in your request for that 100,000, this was a potential use of those funds. You haven't officially dedicated those funds obviously yet, but
Oh, and there was a paragraph where it says, the town has obtained authorization to enter into this agreement by a vote of its board of selectmen. So would that have to go to them first?
Good question.
That's probably wasn't us.
Jasipa,
Yes.
does this contract in the other towns, does it have to be, does it have to go through Board of Selectmen for the other towns as well? My assumption was that the trust was able to execute on this because they're the ones receiving the funds.
I thought it would be the trust as well, but I can ask Connor tomorrow morning and get back to you if that's okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
Just see-
okay. And are you guys gonna,
Paragraphs down.
sorry, what were you saying, Brian?
Looks like 4 or 5 paragraphs down in the
Oh.
proposal.
Okay, let me actually ask that to Connor, yeah. If the Board of Selectmen needs to approve on it.
So do we want to hold this off till the next, because if we're gonna be.
Oh, yeah, if you're meeting before then.
I mean, we're meeting for the first of the year.
Yeah.
So, we can, you send us the job, did you send us the job description? You emailed to us? So send us the job description and, just see if you can check to, see if we can sign it. Or if it has to go through the select board.
Okay, I will ask that right now. Thank you.
Definitely, this trust needs to support it,
Right,
right?
Right.
So,
right.
and then it's just a matter of, does it also need official action through the board?
So are folks, okay delaying this till the next meeting?
Yeah, oh, yeah, they've seen,
July 1st is stop.
they need it before the start of the fiscal year.
Okay. Anything else to? Okay. Just,
Planning board?
no, it's
Like,
like,
no, shipping this
Yeah.
out.
no, that was, I mean, we did this on sequence because I think you were away.
Yeah.
And we got-
Sorry
Oh,
to,
Oh,
sorry
and
to
and also
bother
we
you.
want to wait for our piece to come.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, but
I
I'm
am
sorry.
asking Connor right now. He might just get back to me in a quick minute. I just asked.
Oh,
him.
okay, if you could just, I gotta run up to this like.
Yeah, yeah. I'll just message you then. Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Thanks. Chris, this-
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can adjust these meetings. We sort of did them to set them up this way to accommodate me. And because I had the planning boards, we scheduled at 5:30 too, because that's before the planning board. But if folks want them a little bit later, we can do them a little bit later.
So come September, I gotta see on my schedule, like right now, it's impossible, because my kids got swim on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
I couldn't take her anyway, because I was in traffic, so I'm just
Yeah.
yelling at me, and like, I'm going to go
Yeah,
to the, into the housing trust, but, and maybe we could just, we have to see what the dates are, and I have to see what my schedule looks like.
okay,
Based on that.
okay, because we can do different days and different times. You know,
I mean, I don't want, particularly want to do nights, well, I mean, any later than this. But whatever.
even if it's pushing up a half hour, it makes it easier for us.
Well, if we're gonna do it during the day, and I have to do it through, Teams or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, day, I still work, so it's hard for me to do.
It is hard, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, days.
People come bothering you in the office.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Tell my other stuff, go away.
Yeah, okay. But that's something else, and I think the next meeting, we have to, elect officers again. We have to,
When are we gonna have the next meeting?
well, that's the one we're gonna be talking to Habitat.
So
we
it's
can
probably the 21st?
Yeah, we'll have a
20,
yeah.
what date, was it
20.
Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
Friday, 21st?
Yeah, well, he's gonna confirm that with Habitat.
Hopefully Friday, 21st.
Oh dear.
So. So do I hear a motion to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn this meeting.
Okay, second?
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?